not ridden Koda in a while. It is that time for spring tune-ups on all of our horses. So I got a tune-up Koda. She's been being used for riding lessons and that sort of stuff with little kids. But, you know, little kids, they let them get away with a little bit here and there. And they just need a tune-up once in a while. So we're going to work on that today with Koda. I'm riding bareback because honestly I'm too lazy to throw a saddle on. And I'm in a miler, short shank, low port bit. I'm just riding split reins, harness leather split reins, and 1 year head stall. Nothing too fancy. This is Koda's normal setup. But we're going to work on her flexion, getting soft again, her stops, backing up, that sort of stuff. She's amazing horse. I've had her 5 years. She was the first horse I ever trained. I kid you not, I've ridden her more times bareback than I have in a saddle. Her first 30 rides were for sure bareback. It might have been up to 60 that I did bareback, just doing stupid stuff on her. I mean, she's as gentle as can be. If you are tuning up your horses for spring, especially if they've been off all winter, I definitely recommend a saddle. I trust this horse enough to do it bareback, and I trust my seat on this horse enough to do it bareback. So that's what we're doing. We need to work on our flexion a little bit. So I'm just going to ask her to bring her head over. I just bring the rein to my knee and pass my hip just slowly. I'm going to give her little breaks, like little tiny release. And there she bent her neck. We're going to let her know that she did good. So I've worked on her with the flexing is I created this seat where when I'm neutral, she stops. When I lean forward, she starts to rock forward. When I lean back, she starts to rock backwards. I don't know if you guys can see it because it's very subtle, but I can feel them when I adjust my seat. But when I'm neutral on her, she knows to stand still. If she were to start turning around while I'm in a neutral spot, I would just hold it until she just stopped. But she's really solid horse, so she understands this all a lot. I'm going to ask her to bring her head over some more. And I'm not yanking on her face. I am just very soft, like my ring finger is basically what I'm using to hold the rein, just so that, because we are in their mouth and they're also needing to stretch, so they're needing to pull against you a little bit when they're stretching out too, before they can relax. She's finding her spot. There. But you can see she's licking and chewing. That means that she's releasing her body. That's where they go from their parasympathetic nervous system to their sympathetic to parasympathetic. Sorry. That's basically going from fight or flight or tense to relax, where they can that sort of stuff. So we want her to be able to fully relax. So we want to make sure her muscles are stretched out, make sure she's being able to switch her eyes, being able to stretch out her spine, that sort of stuff. And she's a lot softer this way. So you can see she's like batting her eyes, she's licking and chewing, she's moving her lips, she's very loose. But we need to work on this side a little bit, so we're just going to do that. And just keep asking. I'm still just using my ring finger, and like, it's very, very, very soft right now. That time, she stretched out a lot more. So a lot of horses, they can go to like your knee and bend around. She's a big girl, obviously, so I don't expect her to be as bendy as your little tiny horses. She has a lot more to bend over, so I'm not too worried about like her coming all the way to my knee, because honestly she doesn't need to come all the way to my knee. She just needs to get to that point where she and where she's stretched out. But you can see she's super calm and her head's a lot more level now. It's not on the ground or way up in the air. She's just level. Her ears are kind of floppy. She's listening to what I'm saying. That's why her ears are kind of pointed back, but she's not like pinned back where she's hurting or like she's not worried. She's just listening around. Her ears are very floppy. So that's what we kind of want when we're starting with the tune-up, just to make sure that we're not going to cause any more issues. We want them relaxed. Our second deal is we need to make sure we can back up. So Koda is a big horse to back up. So there's about 1,400 pounds for her to back up. And horses don't really like to back up. They're not built to back up. They're built to go forward. But they need to also know how to back up for stretching, for emergency stuff. Like, it's a big deal for them they need to know how to back up. In the wild, they might back up a couple steps, but they're not going to back up a whole lot. And they're only going to back up when they have to. So when another horse is driving them backwards, or if they're like stuck in something, they're going to go backwards. But really, they're never going to go backwards unless they have to. But our horses need to know how to go backwards when we're on them, because sometimes we'll have to go backwards. So we just ask them quietly, and I pick up my reins where I get my thumb underneath the coffee mug, and then I use my pinky and my ring finger to pull them back. So super soft. I bounce my legs, so you saw me bounce my legs a little bit earlier. That's one of their cues. Once they get really soft at backing, I just wiggle my feet and sit back a little bit, and pretty soon they start backing up just off my feet. So pretty soon, like, if you were to really work on that, you could get to where you could have absolutely nothing on them and they would do all the stuff, because your legs are really how you ride your horse. Your reins are just a communication tool. Your bit's just a communication tool, but you ride with your legs. So yeah, we're gonna slowly ask. I'm gonna ask a little bit more of her. I'm gonna lean back a little bit. I'm gonna wiggle my feet and ask her to back, 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 back. Just like that. And then you always pet them afterwards. Like, even if I was in the show pen, I always at least pet them somehow. Even if sometimes I'll pet them with my leg, just to let them know that they did good. My horses kind of know the difference between sitting like this and that sort of wiggle, because see, she went forward. But if we're just neutral and I'm petting her, she's gonna stand still. She's gonna know that she did good. That's just one of my deals, is I always, after we get done, I give them some sort of reward. Koda likes her shoulders rubbed, so she loves her withers. So we do that. And it's nice when we're bareback, I can actually do that. But we'll do some yo-yo. Here she's getting a little bit tense. I'm gonna bring her back more. There. I want her to be super soft when she's stopping and when she's backing. I don't want her to get bracy. She has little kids on her all the time. We don't need a bracy horse. That's super difficult for a kid. So we'll work on that a little bit. You can have the most bomb-proof kids horse. I don't care how bomb-proof your horse is, they'll always need a tune-up after you have a kid on them. At least after a couple months of having a kid on them, because if you're not training them more, you're untraining them. That's the deal with horses, is you're always training them somehow, whether you're training them positively or negatively. So I get that it's probably a little bit hard for you guys to see my seat, because I'm super, super subtle on my seat, especially on these seasoned horses, because ideally I want all my cues to not be noticeable. So you gotta practice your not being noticeable a lot. But I'll kind of exaggerate it right here because she's getting bracy. I kind of look awkward with my reins. I always try to keep them loose and tighten up when I have to. So, especially on these shaped bits, if I was in the snaffle, I wouldn't be too worried. But more seasoned than this is her typical. So that's what I'm using. And it was already set up for her. I'm gonna ask her to get bracy. I'm gonna ask her to get back. And she's just testing the water, seeing what she can and can't do. And she's constantly learning. You can always teach an old horse new tricks. I've been told so many times, oh, she's 11 years old, you shouldn't be training her anymore. You can't teach an old horse new tricks. That's absolutely false. But you always can teach them new stuff. It doesn't matter how old or how young they are, they can always learn. So you always want to be working on them. At least once in a while work on like additional stuff. Or at least tune them up if anything. And now she wants to turn around. We've worked on her spin quite a bit, so. But now it's more of a one rein back up. Not really using my hands too much. I'm just keeping her straight. Now she's getting bracy. And so with this certain bit, it doesn't give a lot of pressure to their bars. It works on their lips a little bit more. And I have the curb strap to where it's doing curb pressure more so that I'm not hurting her mouth or anything. But sometimes she does open her mouth and play with the roller and stuff. Like right here, she's playing with that roller. Now she's getting a little crazy, but that was good. That last little bit, I didn't really have any pressure on the reins. There we go, good girl. A little bit. We'll do about 3 more repetitions. And she's getting a little bit where she's wanting some forward stuff, which I completely understand. So we'll do 2 more repetitions now. But she's getting pretty dang soft. I mean, she's playing with her bit, but she's not being bracy or anything. And my reine's really long, so. Good girl. Alright. So our other thing is we need them to kind of be flexy when you're going in a circle. She's wanting to move out a bit. She's kind of a slow mover. That's okay. We just want her go in a circle. You can kind of see the slight flexion, like right here is kind of perfect flexion. I'm going to try to keep her a little bit round. Up and up a little bit. There we go. Now she's getting more round. We're making maybe a 20-foot circle. Nothing too big. And I'm using my leg to pick her up a little bit. And I'm using my inside rein to pick her up. Grabbing her up some more. Get her brain engaged because she's kind of getting a little bit low. So now we'll go the other way. She picks up this bend really easy, but if your horse is a little bit turns like a board, you can pick up your inside rein a little bit, like this. Just tighten up that bring that inside rein up, and you can kind of push on with your inside leg too, on the kind of the middle of her rib cage, and use your outside leg to just guide the shoulder. You'll get this round flexion. That's really what we want. We just want a soft flexion. Because them being flexy and them being just soft in the rib cage and the shoulder and the nose and the hip, it's going to help you with anything that you want to do, whether you're doing trails or you're doing barrels or you're doing dressage. It's going to, this soft is going to help you. Let's say we need to go around a tree on a trail because it's down. This is going to help them avoid that tree while staying on the trail. Or it's going to help you go around your barrel. Or it's going to help you pick up your half halt and your passage or all of that dressage craziness, because you have that flexion and you have control of their ribs. Because honestly, rib, hip, and shoulder control is everything. Everything you do is going to be your crazy, from your crazy things that are really pretty, like your piaffe, your controlling your shoulders and hips really well, to your passage, which is more your ribs, or going around. Barrel is your shoulder and your ribs a lot. Trail stuff is a lot of rib cage, so you need all of that. So, she didn't stop really well off my seat. I'm going to ask her back up. We'll just liven her up a little bit. I lot of different things you can do. This is just some of the stuff I do. I just ride little circles and kind of, I don't really have a pattern to it. I don't really have a drill. I just work on. I just go out and work on it. There's no exact pattern or drill or anything. Really, with any of my stuff, I don't do drills with my horses. I just work on certain. And whatever drill that's what I do. It's kind of whatever my horse needs at that exact moment. But now we also going to walk with her pick up her trot and do this soft. A little bit cranky about this. A little bit. She doesn't stay under me. So we're gonna get that rib cage in control. She does this with some of my older lesson kids too. She gets away with pushing her ribs out. We're gonna keep her under me. Move my pelvis and my knees is going to keep them on an exact trail. I'm just going to push her. Anytime she goes off my little trail, she's going to get pushed. She shouldered out really bad right there. Kind of got away from me. So I'm going to pick her back up and she's going to circle I decide. Start with your smaller circle. Kind of make it easier for them just to stay under you. Good. So, what I'm saying, keep your horse underneath you. Keep their spine under your nose and under your belly button. If your spine is in line with their spine, you're going to have a nicer ride. If your horse is shouldering out, your spine's going to be like this, their spine's going to be like this. That's how you fall off. But if you keep, when you're going around, and their spine's staying nice and vertical, you are nice and vertical, then that's where you can get your nice movements. But if you're, sitting like an X where you're, take my reins from me, but where you're kind of leaning over, you're trying to keep them, but you're not doing a good job with your outside leg, or maybe it's the opposite. You're trying to keep them out on a circle like this, and they're kind of shouldering into the turn. Especially your barrel horses do this really bad, I noticed. But they're shouldering in, and then you're like this. This isn't going to get your turn right. You're just going to chase your horse that way. You're going to chase yourself this way. That's where you fall off. But if you keep their spine and all that underneath you, that's going to help you stay on, and it's going to help your communication. And then also with that, don't just stick to your horse, have your horse stick to you. So a lot of people just, no matter what, they stay in line. It doesn't matter what their horse is doing. That's not always the right thing to do. Sometimes you just gotta push your horse back underneath yourself. So if she goes to shouldering out, instead of just going with her and letting her shoulder out, because see, now she's not really paying attention. Now she's gonna kind of do this weird thing, and this is also awkward because I want her to go that way, but my body's saying let's go this way. Or pick up your outside leg, or whatever leg that you need them to prop up. Whichever way they're leaning, use your leg and prop them up. That's how you're gonna have your better seat. Just prop them up. So, yeah. But if you're going around a barrel, if you're, you know, a few barrel racers that watch this stuff, say there's a barrel right there. A lot of barrel horses. You go turning, you do this whole deal, and then they knock over the barrel, and then you're off. Like, that's where a lot of people fall off. Second barrel, only second barrel, they fall off right there. So instead, keep their body underneath you. Pick them up where you have to. Pick their shoulders up. Sometimes you have to get on your mouth a little bit to do it. Usually you can get away with your leg, but sometimes you'll need your reins. This is an extra. Keep it underneath you. Make your body ride the pattern. If you're making your body ride the pattern, it's going to help your horse run the pattern. Because you guys are athletes, you're teammates. So if you're not riding the pattern and you're just yanking on them and being like, go this way, see how annoyed she just got? Like, if you be like, I'm riding this way, I hope you're underneath me, then they're going to be a lot happier. And I've noticed a lot of barrel racers get a lot more results out of just staying vertical. But this doesn't just apply to barrel racing, it applies to really anything. Keep your horse underneath you. Cut horses, those guys, of course the horses are driving the bus on cutting and stuff, but still those guys are using their hips, pushing their horse. They're like, I want to go that way. And their horse is like, okay, I want to go that way with you. Oh wait, I want to go this way. I'm going to go this way with you. And really anything. English riders going over your jumps. If you just sit back and be like, I don't know if I want to go over this jump, your horse is going to refuse and you're going to go over that jump and your horse is not. Like, that's just what happens. If you're driving your horse, you're keeping them under you, and say, oh, there's a jump right there. You drive your hips over that. I wasn't very good about driving her. But say, drive her over that jump. Okay? Like, use your hips to drive them over that sort of stuff. Whoa. You're getting a little bit antsy. We'll do some walking again. But using your hips to drive them where you want to go, it goes a long way. Then building your lower legs is going to help you a lot. So, and instead of, I'm going to pick on barrel racers a little bit, star fishing when you're like this. See how annoyed she gets? How slow she started going? If you just use your lower leg and drive them. You're a little spicy. But if you use your hips to drive them instead of just kicking on them, they're more likely to run straight first off, which that's going to get you your better time, and then they're going to be happier. You're going to have less issues going into the arena, less alleyway issues, and you're going to stay on, which is a big deal, because when you go to star fishing, that's where you fly off backwards and all of your issues. But you keep your hips driving that horse, keep your knees driving that horse, it's going to help you a lot. Just everybody, but picking on barrel racers, sorry. But that's kind of like those are your things. When you're tuning up your horse, you always want to tune up yourself too. So that's where my rambling goes, is starts off horses, but it's a lot of rider error. Everything, really anything with your horse, it's based off what you are doing, because that's all horses know is if you're teaching them something, whether you're meaning to or not, that's what they're going to do. So if I'm teaching her just to run through the bit, she's going to run through the bit. Even if I don't want her doing that, I can easily